Hey guys, I just thought I would make another quick video to tell a few of you about my trip because I understand that there's probably a lot of people who want to know how it went and sometimes not enough time to see you all. So I thought I would just make a video and then you guys can watch it at your own time, and then if you want me to elaborate or expand or you want to see my pictures in person, I would be more than happy to share them with you. So I had an amazing trip. I got home yesterday at 2:30 in the morning. My dad picked me up from the airport, and if any of you were following on Facebook and Instagram, it was a pretty stressful flight, but it all worked out in the end. Oh, I went to the airport 3 hours before my original flight, and I was notified that the plane that I was supposed to take was delayed, which would mean that I'd get into Charlotte, North Carolina about half an hour later than I expected. And I already just had about 1 hour to switch planes, grab my luggage, recheck my luggage, go through customs and security. So an hour's tight enough, but in half an hour to 25 minutes, pretty impossible. So the ticket agent said, I'm going to offer you the flight that stops over in Miami instead. And I've been to Miami Airport before, and I wasn't totally excited about going back to Miami Airport. But I was like, okay, how long's the layover? And she said 2.5 hours. And I'm like, perfect, okay. That's a lot more, manageable. And I was still going to get into Pearson at about the same time. But then I asked, when does the flight leave? And she's like, in half an hour. It's currently boarding. And I was like, oh dear God, okay. So I had to quickly say bye to my 3 friends from England, who I was expecting to at least have 2 more hours with. And then I went to customs, and then I went through security, and that was a bit of a headache because the guy in front of me thought that a massive Swiss Army knife was fine to take on the plane. And I wanted to be like, dude, have you ever traveled before? Like, that's a weapon. So I don't know why you're trying to bring that in your carry-on. And I pleaded with the security guard, and I was like, listen, man, my plane is boarding. At this point, I only had 10 more minutes to catch it. And he was like, okay. And he quickly looked in my bag, and then I ran to my gate. And by the time I got there, I was probably the last person on the plane. And I was in the very back row next to a couple who I think were hoping that no one else would be in the row because they definitely wanted to get it on in the plane, and I was preventing that. So here I was trying to watch Moana because I had never seen it before. I know you can all judge me. So I'm watching a Disney movie, and then these two beside me are feeling each other up and making out, and I was like, oh God, nothing makes you feel more single than looking over and they're just going at each other. So that was awkward, but kind of funny at the same time. And then I switched planes in Miami. Like I said, Miami Airport was a headache just because of how busy they are. When you have lots of time, it's not an issue, but I was a little worried, 2 hours at this point by the time I got off the plane. The lineups were horrendous. It took me an hour and a half just to get to a customs officer. And then part of me, I still had to go to security and then find my gate. But I made it with about 5 minutes before we were supposed to start boarding, so I had no issues there. When I was at my gate, I actually saw 3 people with these Belize sweaters on, and so I ran up to them and I'm like, oh cool, what part of Belize are you from? And they said, Belize City. They were coming to Toronto for a ping pong tournament, and these guys were probably 15, 16. So I just thought that was pretty cool, and I told them that I was there in January and that I absolutely loved Keat Cocker and everything like that. So anyways, my second flight, sat next to another couple and watched Eat, Pray, Love, which again, I've never seen, so you can all judge me again. A lot of people have asked me in the last year if it was kind of a motivating or like an inspiration for why I changed my life. Like, they always asked, oh, did you watch Eat, Pray, Love, and then you decided to, do things on your own? And I said, no, like, I had never seen the movie. I knew it was about a girl finding herself, but I was watching it and I was like, oh my god, I can totally see why people thought that I watched this movie and then changed my life, because it's scary to just up and leave when you're not really sure what you're going to do. But I think just like her, I realized deep down that I was missing out on things that I really, really wanted to do. And I just had to be selfish and put myself first. And I mean, now I feel like I'm a much happier person. I mean, I'm traveling and doing things that I love, and I have a better job, and my life has just improved greatly. But anyways, I'm getting totally sidetracked. I'm not even talking about my trip anymore. So back to the trip. It was 18 days in Costa Rica. I landed in San Jose, and I booked an extra day there just to kind of explore the city, because most times on G tours, your first day is just meeting the group and having dinner. So I wanted a little bit more time in the capital. So I had a food and walking tour with a really wonderful guide named Gladys, and I met a couple from Atlanta, Georgia, and we spent 4 hours walking around San Jose, going to food markets, vendor markets. We went to churches, theaters, banks, post offices, just kind of all around the streets, just kind of like soaking in the culture, trying all the food, the coffee, so good. And then that night, when I went back to the hotel, it was time to meet the other G adventurers. And I mean, when I am on a tour, I am super excited because I know I'm about to meet people from all over the world. So first I met a girl named Maya out at the pool, because she came down by herself and I was sitting by myself. And I'm like, hey, are you a G adventurer? And she's like, yes. And she was so cute, and she was only 18. And so I felt immediately like a little bit of a big sister. And I went over and I said, I've done one of these tours before, very recently, I might add. And you shouldn't worry about anything. They're great at organizing all the transportation and the hotels and all the activities. It's kind of like you're on vacation with, I don't want to say no responsibilities, but everything's really in the guide's hands. So we kind of hit it off right away. And then I went to the lobby and I saw some more people, and just started introducing myself and meeting people from Switzerland and the States and Germany and, Maria wasn't there yet from Norway, but UK and everything. So it was really wonderful to meet them. And actually, after 20 minutes or so, our tour guide walked by, because I could see her in the G clothing. And everyone was like, wait, that's the guide? They're like, you're not the guide? And I'm like, no, why do you guys think I'm the guide? They're like, well, you're asking everybody questions. And I'm like, okay, well, we're going to be together for the next 16, 17 days. So there's no point just kind of sitting and staring at each other. Like, we're going to become friends. Why not just, become friends now? So, yeah, I had a lot of fun the first night, and we all had our welcome meeting with RJ and dinner and stuff like that. We had to be up really early the next day to go to Capos. Long bus ride, but fun. I sat beside a girl named Amy from the UK, and we just talked the whole time. I mean, anyone who knows me knows I love to talk, so who knows, she might have got really tired of me the first day. But I just kept talking until we got there, and then just kind of explored the town a little bit. Went to a farmer's market, went to the marina, got some gelato. It was a pretty good day. We signed up for activities, so the very next day I decided to do a catamaran tour. Originally, I wasn't going to do it just because of the price, but after RJ explained all the things that were included, I decided it was worth it. And so kind of like half the group was going to do the catamaran tour, and another half wanted to do kayaking in like a mangrove forest. So I went with like 6 or 7 other people on the catamaran, and it was a lot of fun. It was a beautiful day, super hot weather. We kind of laid in like this hammock on the catamaran. All of us fit with tons of space to spread out. Then we had, a waiter come over and take our drink orders, and drinks were included, but there was an 8-drink maximum. But I mean, for a 4-hour rum cruise, there's no way I'm going to drink 2 drinks an hour, especially after what happened the last time I went away. So I was pretty good. I behaved. There was like good reggae music, and they served us lunch, and it was really good. We got to see dolphins, and then the boat kind of anchored, and we started snorkeling and got to see a lot of tropical fish. And then after that, me and some of the group went and got some more gelato and walked around the town a bit. Went in the pool, and like at this point we're all pretty severely sunburnt because it's kind of just hitting us how extreme the sun is in Costa Rica, especially since a lot of us are from a lot further north. So, that was a good day. And then the second day, right? Just want to make sure. I feel like I'm losing track of my days. They all started to like mesh together a bit. But the second day, we went to Monteverde, and that was by far my favorite place in the whole trip. I absolutely loved the cloud forest. I thought it was beautiful, and very, very busy time there. I probably did the most activities in that spot than any other place. And yeah, like the one day we took like a 4-hour bus ride to Monteverde, and then we had lunch, and then we went ziplining. And ziplining was a blast, and I was like super enthusiastic because I've been ziplining a few times, but never anywhere this high up. And some of the zip lines were 2 kilometers long, so you had like a really decent zip time, sometimes like 70 seconds kind of in the air, so that was really good. And at the end of the trip, like we were getting our pictures and everything, and I was talking to the manager of the ziplining company, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that was amazing, like I'm on such a high right now. You have an amazing job, like you're so lucky. And I said, I noticed you don't have any female guides. Like, what's that about? And he's like, oh, no girls have ever wanted to work for me. And I'm like, oh, they're missing out, because I'm like, if I lived here, I would 100% want to work with you. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, here's my card. If you ever move to Costa Rica, like, give me a call and you can totally work here. And I was like, yes, like, this is awesome. I couldn't imagine how much fun it would be to help people go, like, do zip lining every day. Like, it just sounds like a blast. Anyways, so that was zip lining. And then we went back to the town for some dinner. And then we had a night hike that night, about 2.5 hours in the forest. We had little, like, flashlights and headlamps. And we got to see things like tarantulas, scorpions, vipers, insects, frogs. So it was all really, really neat. I got some amazing pictures that if you haven't seen them on Facebook or Instagram yet, I'll probably post more soon. And then that night I saw one of the guys from my last tour again, and we just went out to the bar, and it was a really fun day. So that was probably the best day on my trip. And yeah, so the next day was also very exciting. I went bungee jumping, and I've been bungee jumping one time before, but that was 8 years ago in Queenstown, New Zealand. So as soon as RJ said that bungee jumping was a possibility, I was like, I am on that. And the fact that it was higher than the one that I did, not by much, but it was still going to be a personal best. And it was a wicked price of $75. So how can you pass a bungee when it's $75? So it was 470 feet or 143 meters. And you took like a cable car out to the middle of the cloud forest, and you just jumped on top of the trees, and it was breathtaking. I'm going to upload my GoPro video that they took. Pardon me, so you guys will be able to see that. And then after bungee jumping, we went back to the hotel, and a group of us were going to go do the hanging bridges. So these are just kind of like suspension bridges through the cloud forest, and you can get really nice and close to see all the beautiful trees. And I'm not one that normally sits back and admires scenery so much. I'm usually more about like extreme sports or animals, I should say. But this was so beautiful I couldn't turn away, and I think I took like 50 pictures while I was there, just of different trees and how beautiful like the mountains looked and everything like that. It was a pretty magical place. And then, let's see, after hanging bridges, and like all the activities of that day and the super busy day before, I think I passed out that afternoon before we all went out for dinner. And then that was, our last day in Monteverde. We were heading to La Fortuna next, and we were going to Arenal Volcano, and we decided to hike that the first day we got there because it was so clear, so it just made sense to be able to get such good pictures of the volcano. It's still classified as active because you can still see steam up top, but the last known eruption, I believe, was 2010. So it was really cool being there. Got some amazing pictures, and that night we also went and booked our tours. Our tours for the next few days because we had a lot of time in La Fortuna. So I booked canyoneering, which is like waterfall rappelling. And so you got to do 4 rappels, and then there's things like just jumping in the water, and it was pretty cool water. I mean, it's nothing like the glacier water of BC that I've jumped into, but for Costa Rica, like, it was pretty cool. We also went to a natural hot springs, and we laid in there, and it was kind of just like a jacuzzi. Like, it's amazing that the water was so warm, and our guide put like mud on our face, and so we felt like we were at like the spa. I also got a massage in La Fortuna because it was only $40 for a 75-minute hot stone and reflexology massage. So that was really nice. And then we also did things like karaoke as a group. My guide got me to get up there and sing, which, I mean, I'm not very confident in my singing voice. I love to perform and lip sync, but I'm not very good at singing. But she got me up there, and by the time I was done my song, I was like, you know what, you all know that I suck at singing. So I just did like 4 more songs afterwards. I didn't even care. And then, trying to think of anything else. Oh, we went to a hot springs at like a hotel as well when we were there. And that was just like super relaxing. Just overall like a really nice place. And it kind of, it was nice to have like a chill night before heading to the rainforest. And we were going to be in the rainforest for about 2 days, the Serapiki rainforest. And we took a bus and a tractor to this like jungle lodge. And it's 2 hours from any school, grocery store, hospital, church, anything like that. Like 2 hours away from civilization. And, pardon me, we stayed with, a nice little family, and there was, 20 of us all together. And we did night hikes, and we did sunrise bird hikes. We did a hike to like a waterfall. Like the one day we also just relaxed. I think we had planned on having a bonfire, but sadly the weather wouldn't allow it because at this point in the tour, it started to rain at least every day. Not all day, but we had rain every day for the last half. And then after the Sarapiqui rainforest, we went to Tortuguero, which is on the Caribbean coast, and it's known for their like sea turtle conservancy. But right now it's not the high season for leatherback or green turtles. So we mainly just walked on like these beautiful black sand beaches. We toured the very small village of Tortuguero. Our hotel had a nice pool that we stayed in. Some people went kayaking and on boat tours. At this point, I think all my activities kind of caught up with me, and I was like, you know what, I just need like a chill day to relax and just walk on the beach and drink and have a good time. And then after Tortuguero, we went to Puerto Viejo, which is on the Caribbean side as well. And we had tons of options for activities here. I went surfing, which I had never really done before. I think I've maybe tried it years and years and years ago. But this was my first, I'll say, like, real attempt. And I didn't do as well as I thought I would. But I got up there a little bit, so at least it was something. And then we, like, rented bikes one day and went through the town. Went to some private beaches and just relaxed in the water. It was a pretty good time. And then we went, back to San Jose to finish the trip. And we went out to the bar, 2 nights in a row, drinking and dancing. And it was like a fun way to end the trip. So all in all, I felt like I got a pretty good idea of the landscapes and the culture of Costa Rica, because I kind of saw a lot on the Pacific side, and then up north towards Nicaragua, and then back down the Caribbean coast. There's still lots more I want to see, and I'll definitely go back. But yeah, I can't wait to share with you guys, more stories. One thing I missed, I went to a coffee plantation, which is really neat. It's supported by G Adventures, and they showed us, the whole process of how coffee is made. And I bought some coffee there, just a little bit for myself to bring home. I know other people were asking me for coffee, but I just had a backpack, and so I couldn't bring souvenirs home for everyone else. But it was a really good time, and I'm gonna start making my book soon, and I'll show that to you guys, but please stay tuned because I'll definitely upload more videos, and I can't wait to touch base with you guys. I mean, just reach out to me if you want to see more photos, or if you want me to post more videos or something like that of my trip. So I totally forgot one of the other big highlights of my trip. I think I just had so many things to think about and try to remember that this one slipped my mind. But another one of the major highlights was whitewater rafting. And it was like an all-day tour, or at least like 5 hours or so. And it was class 3 and 4 rapids, which I have done in the past. So in Whistler, I did, I think, class 2 and 3 whitewater rafting when I was 14. And then I think when I was 16, my sister and I did class 4 and 5s somewhere near Squamish. And the only difference is that the water out there is glacier water, so you're wearing wetsuits and it's very, very cold. Whereas this, I was in like my shorts and my t-shirt and just some water shoes and like a life jacket. But oh my gosh, these rapids were amazing, and I had this like really fun guide, and like there were times where we would like turn backwards and paddle backwards, and then like we wouldn't know what's coming. I feel like that's just such a cool job to have. And like we made fun of the one guide. One of the guides fell in the water, and all the other guides were just razzing him about it. And so I'm like, oh man, like this is such a cool thing to do, and like such a cool place to work, that you can just raft this river every single day. So yeah. Anyways, thanks you guys for watching, and let me know if you want to know more. Alright?